All right, I'm on hole number 9 of the Origin Links 9-hole cup in the Friday qualifying round in the rookie division. I haven't had any epic fails and I haven't had any woohoos. It's just been playing flat. Part of it is I'm not hitting perfect into the cup. You don't hit perfect into the cup, it doesn't matter how well you set these shots up. You don't hit perfect, you're not going to make it. All right, what I did notice yesterday coming out here is the wind is blowing like this. Let's see if I can get my pen to work. See if I can get rid of all the stuff. The wind is blowing like this direction. And so if you're out here and the wind's blowing in this direction, that means when you come to the cup, you're hitting against a slight side wind. And you got to move away from this sand and you got to put side spin in order to bring you back to the cup, and you're hitting against the side wind. So the goal here is to try and get out into the shadows, because if I can get out in the shadows, then I'm hitting against almost, it's not going to be a pure tailwind, but it's pretty dang close if you can get out here in the shadows. And I think the way the wind was blowing is if you can get up here either maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way, or past the shadows, then you're hitting in a pure tailwind, and you don't have to use a lot of side spin to get around the sand, and it's a straight up shot with a sniper. So I'm definitely going over there. Now, if the wind, I'll give you, if there's another beautiful shot here that you can bounce off of this island and run it up to the front. And the benefit here is you have two options depending on where you land out here. If you don't get all the way up, you can bounce off of this and then roll up, or you can start on the little island and roll up. If the wind in this tournament was blowing this way, this is the shot that I would take. But right now in this tournament, the wind's blowing this way. So that means if you hit out to this island, which is a little bit easier to get out to, now when you come into the cup, you're hitting against almost a pure side wind. And that's the worst kind of wind to try and get into the cup. So if you make any bad adjustment, you're going to get pushed off. Whereas if you're out here and you have a pure tailwind and you make a slightly bad wind adjustment, it's not going to kill you. You still got a serious chance for Albie as long as you can hit perfect. So I'm going to be hitting out here. I like this shot out here, but it's because of the way that the wind's blowing. And that stuff makes a difference. A big difference. I would much rather hit in a pure tailwind than hit into a side wind. And I want to bring a sniper. Sniper. I think everything else there will work. Everything else works. I'll definitely be sniper range. You got a serious Albie chance here. I'm not sure if I'm doing any elevation shot to the cup. Extra. I don't even have any notes written down for this hole. Kingmaker, sniper. We'll see if you can zoom down on your ring set and you can get right down on it. That tells you that you're pretty good. Get over there. I suppose if you used overpower, if you better bring in a big enough ball, you could potentially get over there and start off on the other side. Give myself, move forward as far as I can and give myself a little bit of maneuverability. A little bit of room to the right. 3 miles per hour. It's about a ring and a half. Max curl. Hitting it perfect. See if I had enough curl on there to get me around the bend, because I kept trying to scoot it forward to try and get more forward so I could get more forward distance. And that was about the very limit right there. Anything to the left and that shot would have been sunk. That was me getting greedy. You can see which way the wind's blowing. So I'm pretty close to being in line with it, but I'm not quite as far out there as I'd like. My teammate Kyle came out here and he had a bigger ball so that he could start off on the other side. I think he brought a 5-power ball so he could start off on the other side, and he ended up all the way down there on the tip. So if you got power 5 balls, this is definitely, if you could get over to the other side with a power 5 ball and not have to use any overpower or very little, not a bad deal. So this is exactly what I'm talking about with my opponent. This shot over here is a beautiful shot. I like it. I like both shots. I like the shot better on the right because you don't have to deal with the sand when you're coming in. But in this particular tournament, the way the wind's blowing, this shot right here is not as good a deal, especially when you end up in the rough. Let's see if I can get forward of that. I can. I can get right up in the max club. I can get in front of the sand. That's perfect. Give me a couple rings of separation. .4 per ring, and I can get way down on them. So I'm going to not do any elevation adjustment. I'm just going to take a straight up wind adjustment. 2.4. See if I can hit perfect. Oh, if I was going to hit it great one side or the other and it's still going, that's the side. But oh, come on, man. Come on. I can't establish whether or not I need to be making elevation adjustments if I don't hit it perfect into the cup. I can focus on my distance and see if my distance is good. And it looked like that was a one ring great to the right. That looks like perfect would have been right on top of the cup or real close. But I can't learn anything about elevation adjustments if I don't hit perfect into the cup. And I think if you watched all the videos up to this point, I hit one shot perfect. And on that particular shot, it was on the mid par 5. I wasn't actually trying to go for Albie. I was just being conservative and going for eagle because I haven't been hitting perfect. All right, that was just a nice, clean minimum score round of -12. That's not going to win me any races. I do think that, though, to win, you're probably going to have to shoot a 14 or better. In a lot of brackets, it may be a 15 or better. But there's enough brackets out here that people are having problems, especially with that mid par 5, just getting the minimum score. There are a ton of opportunities to pick up shots, especially in the first 3. And so people are shooting the minimum score, but they drop the mid par 5. And so they're having to hope that they can they can pick one up just to cover themselves for hole number 6. So I'm not too disappointed with the round. Just a nice, clean minimum score, not hitting great. And that's the deal, is if you go out and hit just the minimum score, you're going to find yourself in most tournaments with better than you're probably going to be. In most tournaments, if you hit the minimum score, you're looking at top 30 in most brackets, depending on where you're at. If you're like in a Ricky Masters bracket or a Ricky Expert, especially in Ricky Masters, you can be down as far as, I've seen it as low as where the top 90 people, I think it was 92 people, shot the minimum score. So it just depends on what bracket in the Ricky tournament you're playing in, about the competition that's in there. But usually, especially if you're in Ricky, if you're in Ricky's the hardest to win. You got to shoot you got to shoot a monster score, because there's always that 1 or 2 people who will shoot that 15, 16, or 17. And so there'll be a huge separation. There'll be the 1 or 2 people that shot the 15, 16, or 17, and then there'll maybe one person. There'll be a couple there, and there may be one person that shot a 13 or 14 or 14, and then you'll get 3, 4, 5 people that shot a 13, or 2 or 3 or 4. And so the numbers will go down. So if you shoot the minimum score, you're usually in the top 20, maybe even top 15, just depending on where your tiebreakers are. But if you're playing in a Ricky Pro or a Ricky Expert or Ricky Masters, that number can go down. But typically in a full tournament, if you shoot the minimum score, you're looking at a top 30 in most brackets. So it's not a bad deal. And it's always, I shot this round right here and have zero thought of not getting this score. Every single one of these holes, even the ones that I have low percentages on, I have a shot of picking up one, because I've got the minimum score. I mean, I have, in my mind, I feel like the minimum score, this -12, is a given. If Playdemic just gave me -12 and I went out there and shot the shots, and so I got my chance on every single one of these holes, if I don't pick anything up, You know, hey, I shot the minimum score. This is the goal right here. This is if you're one of those players that doesn't get top 30 finishes and you're trying to get into the top 30, quit trying to win. It's it's awesome when you make shots and you get those drops. But if you get those drops and you have to use one of those drops to cover because you didn't get the eagle here, you only got the one. You only got a birdie. Or you didn't get the eagle here, you only got a birdie. Or you messed up on one of the par threes, this par three right here, and you got a 0. Then you got to use the eagle that you picked up, or the hole-in-one you picked up here, or the eagle you picked up here to cover you. That's not good, because these are winning shots and you just dropped it off the minimum score. So it's super important to get that minimum score. So like the minimum score is in the bag when you go out there, and all you're really focused on is putting yourself in the right spot to pick up a shot on every hole. And hopefully you will hit perfect, unlike me, and you will make those shots. All right, that was the Friday qualifying round in the Origin Links 9-hole cup in the rookie division, coming in with just the minimum score. All right, thanks for watching.